The Seattle Seahawks won because they're the better football team. I talked about this on my last video predicting what's going to happen in this game, and I said it pretty clearly. The Seahawks are a better football team, which means they're going to win this game against the Giants. But what if I told you that Geno Smith was 13 for 20 with 110 yards and only one touchdown? Would you think that the Seahawks won that football game 24-3? Probably not. But I think the bigger story is not the offense this week, which I feel like has been the bigger story most weeks, but it's the defense. And somebody like Devon Witherspoon. Devon Witherspoon, the 5th pick in the draft, rookie. A lot of us, including me, Sammy on tap, you know me, complained about it. I thought, how could you not go with Jalen Carter? Or even Tyrese Wilson, anybody at that spot. A corner, we already have Tariq Woolen. We already have, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, a lot of different people, Trey Brown. But the Seahawks went with a corner, and it looks like they were right. Devon Witherspoon had himself a day. Devon Witherspoon not only had a pick 6, but he even had 2 sacks, more than the guy previously mentioned, Jalen Carter. Devon Witherspoon is churning out already, and I mean it, already, to be a generational talent. We remember last year when Tariq Woolen was fighting for the Defensive Rookie of the Year with Sauce Gardner, right? 2 phenomenal corners, 2 great players. Devon Witherspoon might have made a bigger statement tonight than Tariq did a lot of games last year. Yeah, he made a big statement against the Lions almost the same time of the year with a pick 6 himself. I believe it was against the Lions. But the way Devon Witherspoon's playing is one of those, it's like a mix of Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas. Remember when Earl Thomas was on every play, just somehow coming in, hitting somebody every single play? That's what I'm seeing of Devon Witherspoon, but as a corner. So he has this mix of a Richard Sherman where he's making plays left and right, but also that like Bam Bam and Earl Thomas, the Cam Chancellor Earl Thomas combo where big hits happening every other play. He is a game changer for this team. And I'm going to look at some stats on the defense in general. The Seahawks defense had 11 sacks. Bobby Wagner had 2 sacks. Jordan Brooks had 2 sacks. Devon Witherspoon had 2 sacks. Uchenna Nwasu had 2 sacks. Miles Adams had 1 sack. Mario Edwards Jr. had 1 sack. And Boye Mafe had 1 sack. And the beauty of this is Bobby Wagner's back, 2 sacks. Devon Witherspoon, rookie, 5th pick in the draft, 2 sacks. Jordan Brooks, like the Bobby Wagner successor almost, 2 sacks. Miles Adams, rookie. Mario Edwards, free agent signing. Boye Mafe, second-year guy that everyone said is going to have a breakout year, sack. On top of that, somebody like Julian Love had 10 tackles. Jordan Brooks had 10 tackles. Bobby Wagner of 17. You had Witherspoon with 7. Reek with 7. Uchenna Nwasu with 4. And Draymond Jones was out there also making plays. I think he had a half sack or almost sack. Everybody on this defense is showing up. Quandre Diggs had some big hits. Julian Love had those big moments, the former New York Giant. Now, to the defense other than Devon Witherspoon and the rest of the guys I mentioned. One disappointing part is Jamal Adams. If you like to support us, I do this every video, so you should be used to it. If you want to support me or our business, which you can watch our podcast at Seattle on Tap on YouTube or the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast on all platforms, we are running T-shirts, merchandise at sontshop.com, SONTshop.com. We just came out last week with the blue ski mask shirts. We have the wind glasses shirts, and now we have the Witherspoon spoon shirts. It's just a spoon with the word spoon, and one of them has him on it. If you want to support our business or support me, go get those shirts and help support the business. They'll be in the links in the description or on my YouTube shop. And you can find them at sontshop.com. If you cannot afford or don't like any of the designs right now, put your email in the box on the website. It's right there in the front of the website. If you do so, you'll be entered to our weekly giveaway, where we give away vintage Seattle Mariners, Seattle Seahawks, or Seattle Sonics stuff mostly. Maybe some Sounders and other things cracking one day, but they're not vintage. Some vintage Seattle sports gear will be given away every single week there via our Instagram. Our YouTube page will be posting about it in the communities and many different places. So if you want to be part of these giveaways, please put your email in the box and Let's ride. That was for Russell Wilson, but it was a joke. But sign up or get a shirt to support. I love you guys, for real. Jamal Adams got hurt. A concussion this time. Thankfully not an injury like a torn quad, a AC shoulder injury, a knee problem. Fortunately, this time with Jamal Adams, I hate to say fortunately because it's a concussion, but it's a concussion that it looks like he's going to recover from. Jamal Adams is actually on the sideline arguing with the concussion consultant in the red hat, yelling at him that he wants to come back in the game. And Pete Carroll mentioned it after the game that this is outside of our team's resources because this is the NFL resource, right? The doctor, the neurosurgeon, or the neurologist, whatever you want to call it. Jamal Adams wasn't let back in the game by this guy. Jamal thought he could be in. Maybe he could. Maybe he couldn't. At the end of the day, I think even if you ask Jamal Adams, he'd be thankful that it's not a torn ACL, a torn quad, a broken shoulder. It seems like something where he got shaken up. He was a little dizzy. He has next week to recover with the bye week, and it seems like he'll probably be back the following week against the Bengals after our bye week because it was a concussion, and it was not a concussion that had him in a neck brace going to the hospital. He was fighting to go back in the game. So that's what I mean by thankfully, not that I wish any injury upon him. But before Jamal Adams got hurt, he is back. The guy was... Before I mentioned Devon Witherspoon, I should have mentioned Jamal Adams. Before Devon Witherspoon's big plays, Jamal Adams was the most active guy on the field for that possession. He had a huge hit. He almost had a sack, blitzing out of nowhere. I literally saw nothing on the screen, but Jamal Adams' body flashing across the screen, just and almost hit the quarterback. He looked like 25-year-old Jamal Adams, like New York Jet Jamal Adams. He was flying on the field. It looked like a Earl Thomas type of Jamal Adams, just flying places. And they were clearly using him in a special way. We had Julian Love on the field a lot of times and Quandre Diggs, but they were using him as the special football player he was. So with that said, I hope he gets healthy immediately, and I hope that he'll be back sooner than later because what I saw for a few plays told me that that's Jamal Adams, and that Jamal Adams is going to be great. And he's just like the great Jamal Adams that we've always known. The offense. Let's get to the offense. Like I said, Geno Smith, 13 for 20, 110 yards and a touchdown. But then you had Drew Lock, 2 for 6, 63 yards. Geno Smith, it should have been a late hit on him and out of bounds. Just saying. The refs today, I'm not saying as a Seahawks fan just towards the Seahawks and the Giants. There was a lot of questionable calls, a lot of questionable whistles blown. Kenneth Walker's touchdown was weird, and that wasn't a touchdown. And a lot of just, offsides calls and holdings and different things and picked up flags. There was just a lot of weird stuff happening, a lot of non-calls at the same time. It was a sloppy game on both sides of the ball. There was a lot of drop punts, fumbles, sacks. The Seahawks side of it was very cleaned up in the second half, but the first half was kind of a shit show. With the offense, with Geno Smith getting hurt for a second, Drew Lock came in, makes a huge pass to Noah Fant. Touchdown if he had one more yard on him, but his knee hit the ground. But it was an amazing, almost a 50-yard touchdown pass. They scored on the next play, Kenneth Walker. First and foremost, it's good to see that if we need Drew Lock to play, he is a viable quarterback. I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Geno, but he obviously is not, crapping the bed when he comes in. And then Geno Smith, despite the stats looking very shaky, 13 for 20, 110 yards and a touchdown, he played a clean football game. Yeah, there was 2 sacks. Yeah, maybe there's a couple drop passes here and there. Yeah, it wasn't the craziest statistical day, but he looked good. Everything was clean about the offense. I feel like a lot of the second half was very conservative, have a pretty big lead. There was pretty much nothing in the fourth quarter. I feel like I can't even recall a play in the fourth quarter that I can tell you, I remember that. It was just conservative football. Let's get through this and let's finish this off. So, Drew Lock, important. Geno Smith playing well and coming back was important. And this was all despite the offensive line not being healthy. There was one point in the game, and it's not the whole point. I'm just saying one point. Because Damian Lewis went down. And then Evan Brown went down at center. And Oluwatumi came in. I think at that point is when we had 5 out of 5 offensive linemen that weren't starters to start the year playing offensive line. Because Phil Hayes went down. Damian Lewis went down. Evan Brown went out for a possession or two. We had 5 out of 5 backups at the offensive line, and somehow the Seahawks won this game 24-3. So everything is looking all right. The whole horizon's good. A bye week coming up next week. Devon Witherspoon's playing like the fifth pick in the draft. Outside of quarterbacks, I know Christian Gonzalez is in New England, but with the way they lose, it's hard to even tell if he's that special. He's playing good, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's not like pick 6, 2 sacks, Seahawks win type of special. Jalen Carter's looked good out of rookies, but not as good as Devon Witherspoon. Everything is going well. The one piece that I always talk about is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He was targeted again today. What was it? Targeted 6 times it was. He was the most targeted player on the team. He was targeted 6 times for 3 catches for 5 yards. Something about the connection, I don't know what it is, whatever's going on there, the connection doesn't feel 100% right the way it should. The connection between Geno and Jackson Smith and Njigba, I feel like today with the 6 targets, leading team in targets, he's clearly trying to get them the ball. If you saw last week on social media, like, he had a talk with him. I need you to show up in the 4th quarter. I got you. If you don't get the ball enough, that's on me, is what Geno Smith was saying. So clearly Geno Smith was trying to get him the ball. 6 targets, the most targets on the team, more than DK, more than Tyler, more than Noah Fant, more than anyone. But still 3 catches for 5 yards. He's just not as explosive as we expected to start. I'm not giving up on it. I think it's going to be fine. But it's just something to monitor because if you really ask me, I know the preseason Jake Bobo looked good, for example. I wouldn't have thought Jake Bobo would have a touchdown before Jackson Smith-Njigba. He does. So it's just an interesting situation right now, what's going on. At the end of the day, Seahawks 3-1. Week 1 looked shitty. It's not that shitty, obviously, because we ended up coming out and winning 3 in a row. Bye week, then Bengals. We got 13 days to the next game. If you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, we have 12 days to the next game. Relax. Get the offensive line healthy. Make sure Geno Smith's healthy. Make sure everyone's good. Tariq Woolen missed a game earlier this year. Devon Witherspoon missed a game earlier this year. Let's make sure everyone's clear. Jamal Adams get him back. And the Bengals are struggling. And the Seahawks have a good chance to take it to the Bengals. So I hope all of us are ready for that. I hope it all works out well. And we got 2 weeks. So I'll be doing a lot of videos about all of it. So stay tuned. Let's go win some football games and go Hawks. 3-1, baby. Couldn't be happier.